Hi, this is Dustin with Dustin's Dollars. Today I'm going to be talking about Tellurian. This is going to be more of a backwards facing video rather than a future facing video. I'm going to be talking about Tellurian's LNG cargo trading. If you read their filings or even they had a press release years ago, I think, when they did this. Um, this is a thing that I didn't really understand, and I thought some other folks. I'll be honest, I still don't completely understand why they did what they did, but I'm going to cover sort of the information they have released through their SEC filings. If you are curious about that, feel free to stick around. If you care about only the future of Tellurian, short. Long story short, they have canceled all of this right now. They've booked all of their gains and losses as really the story is. So if you only care about the future for Tellurian, feel free to hop off. Don't watch the rest of this video. If you are one of the people who really are interested in the company and read a lot of stuff and care about some of the things they've done, I'm going to go over the information that we have been able to get from the company about what they actually did with this. So before I begin, let me remind you that I am not a financial advisor or a financial professional of any sort. All opinions that I express in this video are mine and do not represent those of any company or any other individual. I currently hold a long position in Tellurian, so basically this video should be for your entertainment purposes only, because I could be wrong about everything I say in this video. You need to do your own research before making any investment decisions. So, back in 2019, I was a shareholder at the time, and I saw this filing, and there may have been a press release. I don't recall. I did most of my search here from the SEC filings, and it said this was on April 23rd of 2019, Tellurian Trading UK Limited, a company incorporated in England and Wales, which is a subsidiary of Tellurian, entered into an LNG sale and purchase agreement with an unrelated third-party LNG merchant for Tellurian to actually purchase one cargo of LNG per quarter beginning in June 2020 through October of 2022. So again, they made this agreement in roughly the middle of 2019 to purchase one cargo each quarter from June 2020 through October 2022. It's about roughly 3.5 MMBTU, and they had some other stuff here about the terms that really matters to say that the price is going to be based on JKM at the time of purchase. So there was no, to my recollection, there was no real explanation as to what they're doing here when they decided to do this, and they haven't really talked about this too much other than in very, what do I want to say, obtuse language, just to state the facts of like, we purchased a cargo for this amount of money, for this many millions of dollars, sold it for. They don't even actually. I suppose in various places they don't even say how much they purchased it for. They have been very not transparent. This is one thing that I actually have not liked about Tellurian. So if you want to consider this a criticism, go ahead. I'm going to go through, hopefully to be brief, all the information in the filings. Just if you were curious. Again, if this isn't the most interesting topic to you, feel free to hop off. So they had this filing in July of 2020. They actually purchased their first cargo of LNG under this agreement. They sold it for about $7 million. And I think there was somewhere else in here they say, so they sold it for $7 million. And let's say their cost of sales, I think they say increased approximately $7 million, which is attributable to the cost associated with the sale of an LNG cargo. So they effectively broke even on this one in July of 2020. The next sort of new mention that we have is at the end of the year when they just reported their LNG sales for the whole year of 2020. And that basically confirmed that they did not do any additional LNG sales for the year in 2020. Then in 2021, we saw that they purchased and sold another LNG cargo in, I think, the second quarter of 2021, right? We see the sales here of about 19.8 million. And I think elsewhere we see that the cost was roughly 19 million. I'm not going to find the text right now, but it looks like I think it was 19.2 million was the best that I could find here. It was actually pulling from the end of the year. If I have that, I don't have it up. The end of the, no, oh, I do. Cost of sales increase of approximately 19.2 million in cost of sales, primarily attributable to the purchase of an LNG cargo in April 2021. So they actually booked about $600,000 of profit from that. And that also tells us that they only purchased one cargo in 2021, which is interesting, right? So if you've been following along, they purchased one in July of 2020 and one in April of 2021 for the entire years of 2020 and 2021. It's a bit weird when you just read the initial very terse statement of they have committed to purchase one cargo of LNG per quarter, beginning in June of 2020 through October 2022. You can't explain that. And I don't think the company has been transparent, and they didn't release any additional details. So that was a bit weird, but honestly, it's probably for the best. Although who knows if they paid fees to not purchase those cargoes. I hope they didn't, but I don't know that it was called out in any of their filings. It probably was just absorbed in something else if they did. Hard to say. Now, in the fourth quarter of 2021, they also decided that they were going to start hedging because of these purchases. And they say, we entered into LNG financial future contracts to reduce our exposure to commodity price fluctuations, which was kind of weird. Like, again, it's very, very hard to interpret what they were actually doing here just from the details that they released. They say, they hedged approximately 2.4 million MMBTU. I'm not sure that's right, of LNG, which represents a portion of its expected LNG cargo transactions. And, again, each cargo was about 3.5 million. So they are, I think that was in the initial, yeah, 3.5 million right there. So they hedged like 2/3 of a cargo effectively. And, they had maturities extending through to April of 2022 for those hedges. At the time, they said, hey, we actually, on our LNG financial futures, they actually booked a gain. They realized a gain of $1 million there in the fourth quarter of 2021. But then they apparently had an unrealized gain of about $8.7 million. So, at the time, that was like, hey, maybe they are doing okay with their hedging. And then we get into the Q1 filing for 2022, and we actually see that their realized gain, they realized another 3.5 million here, but then they have an unrealized loss as of the end of March of $5.1 million. So they lost a little bit on those hedges, it sounds like. And then in the Q1 report, we saw the big whammy here, which is, at first it sounds good when you see the LNG sales. Let me find the right line item, and you see, they sold it for $121 million, that cargo, and you say, well, that's kind of nice, which is, as you expect, LNG prices are through the roof. However, where's it at? Sorry, why is it not working? There we go. Their cost of sales was quite high, and they say there was an increase of $133.4 million, primarily attributable to the purchase of an LNG cargo. So, yes, that more than offsets their $121 million in revenue from them actually reselling that cargo. So, again, this is not split out very well. You can see in some of the prior quarters where they cut out the increase in cost of sales and said it's primarily attributable to the purchase of the LNG cargo, when in reality it was not 100% attributable to that. So it's possible that maybe they still did more of a break even here, rather than actually losing almost $12 million. But $12 million seems like quite a large number when you're talking about their cost of sales here. And that they probably paid somewhere around 120 million for that. So it's hard to say. I think, if I'm reading between the lines, they probably lost some money on this. And especially when you look at the fact that they, after purchasing one in January, they entered into agreement to cancel the last 3 purchases, and they're going to pay $1 million to cancel that. To cancel the purchases for April, July, and October 2022, which were the remaining 3 purchases they had under the agreement. So, if you're following along, just to recap, in July of 2020, they purchased a cargo for $7 million. Looks like they sold it, or they sold it for $7 million. Looks like they purchased it for $7 million as well. In April 2021, they purchased a cargo for, it looks like about $19.2 million. It sold for about $19.8. So that would be about a $600,000 gain, it seems. And then in 2021 Q4, they opened up those hedges. And then in 2022 Q1, they lost $12.4 million. They also closed out their hedges, and overall it looks like they had a small loss on the hedges, probably canceling out that roughly the $600,000 that they made before. So it seems like, and then they're going to pay $1 million to close out this agreement. So it seems like overall they lost about $13 million over 2 years doing this LNG trading, which as a shareholder, personally, I would say this is incredibly frustrating. I don't understand why they did this at all. And again, maybe there's something that makes sense strategically that would be obvious to somebody in the industry. The company has never really explained this anywhere that I've seen as to what they're trying to do here. It seems like it's more of just a distraction from their primary business. And so it's frustrating to have seen them do this. I'm actually happy that they canceled that, the rest of that agreement, and that hopefully they are, not going to do any more of this, and they'll be focused on getting Driftwood up and running. So anyways, I know that that's probably, again, not really that useful if you're looking at the future of Tellurian. This was just something that I want to do my own research on. I did the research, wanted to share it in case anybody else found it interesting. And also they have a typo in their reporting and required. I don't know. I noticed it earlier. I noticed things like that. So anyways, thank you for watching and have a good day.